This is all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577. For service today.
I spend a lot of time in the garage, but even more time in the rain and mud. In 95, I helped tow your moving trailer. And in 09, it was sparks from me, your chains, dragging behind your truck that accidentally started a wildfire.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com, brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hubler makes it easy to get your perfect car or truck. Get your vehicle your way. They'll help you pre-order a vehicle built just for you. Visit drivehubler.com.
When you're high, you feel different. But if you feel different, you drive different. So don't drive high. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Didn't know what time it was. The lights were low. I leaned back on my radio. Some cat was laying down some rock and roll.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
Welcome back, Indianapolis, to another exciting edition of Saturday Night on the Circle, where there's been a huge week in news. Fox News settling with Dominion Voting Systems in one of the largest defamation lawsuits ever. More clarity comes from the Biden administration's past connection with the Hunter Biden laptop story and burying it in the narrative of Russian disinformation. Also, troubling reports, incredibly disgusting reports, to be honest, coming out of Brownsburg elementary schools, where 2 teachers have been dismissed, 3 have been placed on leave, and possible criminal charges are pending. Rob Kendall will be joining the show coming up next to discuss all that. But first, we begin with Fox News, who settled for $787 million in the defamation lawsuit, an incredible sum. By the way, thanks for joining me. My name is Ethan Hatcher. Producer Carl, beep, 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 pushing those buttons and doing the things to make the show function. And you can catch our podcasts uploaded to WIBC.com, Saturday Night on the Circle.fireside.fm, and hop in the chat on YouTube while we broadcast the show live. $787 million is quite an incredible sum. And what it shows is the depths to which any major media organization, it seems like, whether they're left or right of center, will distort the facts in order to pander to their base. We saw enormous multi-million-dollar settlements in the case of Nicholas Sandmann when left-wing organizations tried to pander to their audience and portray this young man as a seething racist. And of course, they were wrong, and they paid the penalty for misrepresenting him in the media. But here we have Fox News, who knew damn well that what they were reporting on was factually untrue. And whether or not you believe Biden won the 2020 election, what seems inarguable at this point is elements that Fox News brought to broadcast were not factually accurate, and now they are paying the penalty. This was noted by Bill Maher on Real Time on HBO.
They had them dead to rights because they had the texts from the Fox News anchors. On the air, the Fox News people were towing the Trump line. Behind the scenes, they knew it was bullshit, and they were saying it. The last straw was last week. Tucker Carlson, some of his new texts came out. He called Trump's lawyer, Sidney Powell, who he was having on a show, giving credibility to. In the text, he says she's a bitch, a psychopath, a liar, and a And the Fox News spokesman said, well, they are cherry-picking those texts out of context. I'm not making this up. I just want to know, in what context is bitch a compliment? That's just my question.
And then afterwards, they released a statement that said the settlement shows they continue to pursue the highest standards in journalism. What a joke. What a joke. We live in truly humorous times, a topsy-turvy world upside down. And here's an interesting thing that most people probably didn't know about the settlement. Turns out, guess what, Carl? This multi-million-dollar, $787 million settlement with Dominion,
yeah,
is tax deductible.
Oh, nice.
As long as they're not reimbursed, as long as this isn't an expense for which insurance will reimburse them, then that expense is totally tax deductible in the favor of Fox News. I mean, anything can be written off, including evidently these defamation lawsuits.
Cost of doing business.
Yeah, it wouldn't count if it was a government penalty, but since this is a civil settlement, totally you could write that off your taxes. Here was another interesting turn of events in the news this week. We're getting more clarity regarding the Hunter Biden laptop story, and this is something that's been on the back burner for going on 4 years now. I mean, it was first, I think, uncovered in what was that, the October of 2020. So, 3 years later, we're still talking about it, and we're not going to be done. Like this week, we're not going to be done with this story. It will likely continue to develop through the election season of 2024. But now, according to House Representatives, Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan has uncovered evidence tying the Biden campaign with the Russian disinformation narrative that was peddled by agents within the intelligence community, including the CIA, directly contacting then CIA member Mike Morrell through the campaign in order to advance this narrative, which is incredible, reported on by CBS.
According to a letter released Thursday night from the Republican chairman of the House Judiciary and Intelligence Committees, former CIA Deputy Director Michael Morrell told congressional investigators that days after the laptop story, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, then a Biden campaign advisor, reached out to Morrell and set in motion the events that led to the intelligence official's public statement.
As we speak, Donald Trump is being prosecuted for felonies regarding, election interference about his hush money payment to Stormy Daniels, which, of course, was not a crime and is an elevated misdemeanor at best because of misrepresenting it in business filings. But that's it. That's the best case scenario. Really, it's wholly unsubstantiated. But now we're revealing the Biden campaign was actively working with members of the government. Antony Blinken, then part of the campaign, now part of the administration, working with Mike Morrell behind the scenes in order to advance a narrative in the media that was used to completely discredit even other journalists, like the New York Post, which was censored because at the time, remember, this was Russian disinformation claimed by Joe Biden on multiple occasions, riding on the coattails of his own election interference.
50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plan. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage.
You sit on a throne of lies.
And now we know the Biden administration was directly involved while they were campaigning. And according to the Office Director of National Intelligence, they have verified there was no foreign interference in the release of the Biden laptop. This is legitimate. It's been verified by multiple news organizations. And now we're finding out the depths to which the Biden administration, or the Biden campaign at the time, colluded with members of the government and members of the media community in order to affect the outcomes of the election. That is the really scary thing that's going on here. And we're going to continue to have more information. Jim Jordan promising more release in the coming weeks. He's going to get specific and release more information in the coming days. Also, we found out that Republican Speaker of the House totally intends to cave on raising the debt ceiling, now calling on the Biden administration to come to the negotiating table after offering what they're claiming is a responsible debt limit increase of over $1 trillion, which is hysterical, but to be expected from a California Republican. Here's Kevin McCarthy coming to the House Republicans and spinning these lies.
Now that we've introduced a clear plan for a responsible debt limit increase, they have no more excuse and refuse to negotiate. I think the Senate can honor maple syrup and basketball teams and negotiate on a debt ceiling at the same time. We owe it to the American people to use this moment in history to deliver the future they want, need, and deserve. House Republicans have a plan. The Senate does not. And the president is ignoring the debt crisis. President Biden has a choice. Come to the table and stop playing partisan political games. Or cover his ears, refuse to negotiate, and risk bumbling his way into the first default in our nation's history.
You serious?
Kevin McCarthy's letting you know right there he has no intentions of letting the country, quote, default on its debts. He will continue to raise the debt limit, already putting $1 trillion on the table. And no, the Biden administration doesn't have to cave. These plans likely aren't going to be agreed with by the Democratic-controlled Senate. And Kevin McCarthy is going to be put in the position to then cave, as we knew he would. It's time to face reality, folks. Fiscal conservatism is dead. The Republican Party no longer is the party of limited government and responsible spending. Those were some of the planks that the party ran on during the Tea Party sweep of 2010. That's when I was very politically engaged. I was just turning 18 that year. And I remember the Republicans standing against the irresponsible spending, so-called, of the Obama administration, but then they doubled down and continued it during the Trump administration. The Republicans are responsible and complicit, just as the Democrats are, in the profligate spending that is sending our nation into runaway inflation and spiraling down the drain. Thanks for listening to Saturday Night on the Circle. One more soundbite I wanted to get out of the way. You heard a few weeks ago John Kirby claim that he saw no chaos in the withdrawal of Afghanistan, saw no problems with the withdrawal, but this week admitted more than 20 months after leaving, they're still evacuating Americans from the country. 20 months on, no problem, says John Kirby.
But when it comes to Afghanistan, because I think that's what you were asking about, we continue to get people out.
20 months later, and he saw no chaos. Thanks for listening to Saturday Night on the Circle. Stay tuned for more. A busy week in news. Coming up next on the show, Rob Kendall will join us and shed a little bit more light on the Indiana Republicans thumbing their nose at the base regarding property taxes here in the state of Indiana, and also the troubling allegations coming out of Brownsburg elementary schools. Don't miss a moment of Saturday Night on the Circle.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now. I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TIRE for an extra 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TIRE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TIRE.
My name is Leroy Lewis III, and I'm a proud supporter of my wife, Maggie A. Lewis, who leads our family with a gentle heart and our community as a servant leader. Since becoming a member of the City County Council, I have watched her wake up every day before the sun rises, responding to emails and text messages from colleagues and constituents while looking out for the best interests of our son, Leroy Lewis IV, including driving him to school each and every day since he started kindergarten. We call our family Team Lewis, but Maggie believes all those she serves are members of Team Lewis as well. Her passion for helping others is why on May 2nd, Election Day, we need to re-elect Majority Leader Maggie Lewis to our City County Council. She's a leader who is prepared, experienced, and dedicated, and not to mention a great wife and awesome mom.
Hi, I'm Maggie Lewis. Your vote does make a difference. So let us hear from you on May 2nd. Paid for and authorized by Maggie Lewis Campaign. Peter O'Coffer, Treasurer.
It's just alcohol. Everybody drinks. You may have already heard this statement from your teen. I'm Tammy Silverman with Indiana Youth Institute. Alcohol is a substance most commonly abused by teens. Survey data shows that 2 in 10 Indiana high school students reported drinking in the past month, and more than half of Hoosier teens say it would be easy to get alcohol. How do you talk with your teen about alcohol use, especially if they see peers or adults drinking? First, understand that your child may point out contradictions in our society's views on alcohol. It's okay to acknowledge those facts. Talk with your teen about the many risks of alcohol use. During your conversation, you can both validate their views and uphold your family values. You are the first line of defense against alcohol abuse, so don't be afraid to talk to your teen. What you say has a big influence on their decision to drink or not. This Kids Count Minute is a message from Indiana Youth Institute. For more parent tips, visit IYI.org.
Kids count on you.
First, I hold my hands out like they're on a steering wheel. Then I look over my shoulder. 1, okay, cool guy. 2, 3 times. Next, I put it in reverse. Meep, meep, meep. Then I take it up and down, up and down. And that, kiddos, is called the forklift.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now that's dancing. Sure beats flossing.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Damon's Garden Center West has endless varieties of trees, shrubs, vegetables, flowers, hanging baskets, plus garden and landscape supplies, and a friendly and helpful staff at Damon's West on Rockville Road.
The Indianapolis Public Library. More than just books. Visit your local branch today.
There's something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
I think it's time we stop.
Hello and welcome to Saturday Night on the Circle. I'm your bespectacled curmudgeon, Ethan Hatcher. Don't miss the podcasts uploaded to Saturday Night on the Circle.fireside.fm and WIBC.com. Plus, hop in the chat while we broadcast live on the YouTube. Indiana schools have already come under scrutiny after a bombshell undercover video revealed teachers and administrators have been deceiving parents about school curriculum's inclusion of DEI and CRT. Now scandal rocks Indiana schools once again as 2 Brownsburg elementary teachers have been dismissed and possibly face criminal charges over their alleged treatment of a special education student. Here to tell us more about the disgusting accusations against these educators is the man who's a son of Brownsburg himself, the raucous, ranting, often off the rails Rob Kendall comes on the show.
You know why I love you, Ethan? You were born and came out of the womb at 50 years old. That's why I love you, Ethan. You were born 50 years old, and I just love everything about you. Yes, this is, while that is funny, this is not funny. And we broke this story earlier this week. Got Ethan, we have birdies everywhere, and one of the birdies we have is a well-respected member of the Brownsburg Community School Corporation, who we will not name for fear of tar and feathering if they were ever disclosed to have associated with me. And they gave me some information that an emergency school board meeting was being called, executive session. That means the public doesn't get to go to this. And that there was some serious stuff afoot. It was called on a Thursday. The meeting was scheduled for a Monday. The only reason you schedule a meeting on a Thursday for a Monday and it relates to job performance, almost always it is someone has done something highly egregious.
And as I understand it, what these teachers are being accused of, and nobody's come forward to refute the accusation, but this is pretty disgusting stuff. They made this student eat vomit?
So allegedly.
Allegedly.
Now, I will tell you, I got this information from the same source that has been right about everything else so far, a person very connected inside of Brownsburg schools. And at least as of this segment, the Brownsburg Police Department has not released the police report yet. I'm sure it will all be in the police report, which the Brownsburg Police Department did confirm to Indy Star. We are doing a police report. There is video of the incident in question. They confirmed that as well. And obviously 2 teachers have been fired. 3 more are under investigation for possible termination. At least as I was told, that is what took place. Still no confirmation on that from the police department as of yet.
Do you have any kind of timeline on when we're going to get the police report released? Because this is some pretty heinous stuff that's being thrown around to be happening under any circumstance, let alone to a special needs student.
Yeah, I was told it would be soon. Now, who knows? you are as familiar as I am with government. Soon could be today, soon could be 3 weeks from now. And obviously then Lauren Delp, who is the prosecutor in Hendricks County, will have to make a determination if anything criminal has happened. But what I was told by the source, this sort of behavior, and I've heard from multiple parents, by the way. See, this is what something like this does. It opens the box for all the people who have had things they wanted to talk about but haven't been able to talk about, who have said, thank you for talking about this publicly, because we have had special needs kids who have gone to Brownsburg schools, and while this specific thing didn't happen to them, they were treated very poorly by the Brownsburg Community School Corporation.
So this could have been continuing for quite some time, and that's what I don't get, Rob, especially with the students that you're serving, special needs students. It's a very taxing environment. It requires a high degree of professionalism from the people involved, and it's not a field that pays a lot of money. So if you are not qualified, you don't have the temperament or the disposition, that's fine. That's understandable. Get out of the school. Don't serve those students, and certainly don't abuse them. This breaks my heart. It's terrible.
Yeah, and I was told by this person who, again, has been right about everything else so far and has absolutely no reason to lie, that this is not a one-off thing. Now, we'll see what the investigation says, whether that's true or not, but that this behavior, and again, not this specific thing, but this behavior from the employees in question had been on radar, or should have been on radar, had been going on for quite a while. Again, we'll see what the report says. That's what we'll go by. They're the trained investigators. But if indeed that is the case, you've got to say, where has the administration been? Because you got time to lie to the community about DEI officers. You got the time to do all this extracurricular bullcrap that these public schools do, to enhance wokeness and radical leftism. But you're not paying attention to the nuts and bolts of your school corporation. You're not paying attention to what's going on the most vulnerable amongst us. And again, I want nothing more than to this be a totally one-off thing. It happened one time. These people were dealt with, and we're done with them. But it doesn't sound like that's the case.
No, what it shows you is why it's important for administrators to focus on the quality of education rather than virtue signaling and lying to parents. They were focused on their woke agenda pushing and inclusion of politics into the curriculum instead of doing what's most important, which is providing a quality education to children. And worse yet, they were asleep at the wheel, apparently, while potential abuse or alleged abuse was going on. This is terrible stuff.
Yeah, it is. I know you got some other things you want to get to, but real quick, when that video came out of the school administrators all across the state, whether it was Plainfield or Martinsville or Elkhart, I think Goshen was in there, but Carmel, where they're saying on tape, Accuracy in Media, I think is the group who put it out. Yeah, we're doing CRT, we're doing DEI, we're doing SEL, and we're hiding it from parents because we don't want them interfering in us essentially indoctrinating your kid, trying to raise your kid because we know better than you. You realize what a cesspool the public education system is in this state, and what makes it even more gross is the governor is out bragging about how much more money, and the state legislature's out there bragging about how much more money they're throwing at public education to the tune of billions of dollars, and this is the sort of behavior and actions you're enabling.
I think we stumbled on the theme of the segment here, which is how little the government cares about you, whether it's educators being paid by the state or the politicians themselves. They don't give a damn about the constituency, and that is also illustrated by the Republican Party's lack of movement, complete lack of movement, middle finger to the base regarding property taxes in the state, which are completely out of control. You did a whole segment on Friday on the Kendall and Casey show, had some great callers talking about how the assessments are completely out of control and how they're getting screwed over by the state. This is ridiculous. And I'll tell you how I've gotten screwed over in just a sec. But
and so, I mean, again, it's something they knew, they being the Republicans knew, and we get this all the time. Why are you so mean to the Republicans? Well, they're in charge. They run everything, right? we don't have anything.
They have a super majority in the legislature.
There's no one else for me to talk about. But the Republicans knew a year ago that these assessments were skyrocketing. And it wasn't like, it went up 3%. Like, that happens all the time, and that's bad enough. But people just ignore it and go on. You've got 30%, 40%, 50% increases in assessment, which based on how we tax people, it's on a percentage of the assessment of your property. They knew these taxes were going to go up. And we talked about it for a year, and then we talked about it at the start of this year, and all we got from the Republicans was bad-mouthing me, calling me things like a shock jock and a guy out for ratings, and I didn't know, and how could I know? And we've been proven completely right because, we know how the system works, and we can do math, and yet we are a week to go in the legislative session, and the Republicans in the Senate, certainly, and to an extent the House, said, we're not doing anything. The party of low taxes and limited government, who just admitted they found $1.5 billion in extra money because of the revenue forecast, are doing nothing to help people, the elderly, the fixed income people, who I mean, it's bad enough to do it to people who can afford it. There are people on Social Security who cannot afford this, who we got a call from a guy, $800 a year. $800 a year, Ethan, he's increase. He's bringing in $1,700 a month on Social Security.
And how are you going to be able to pay for that? You can't. And you got to either choose to stay in your house or pay for groceries, and that's an unfair choice to people on a fixed income. I made a discovery because I've been paying on property taxes since December and mistakenly believed that I was ahead of the game.
No.
Little did I know I was only paying on the preliminary assessment, and then come March 23rd, the correct assessment comes in. So properties that I'd already paid several $100s to now have increases of $70, $90, or up to $200, an average of between 15 and 20% increases on my 19 properties, which is quite a bit of money that I have to cough up in the short term before the May 10th property tax deadline, and I'm not too happy about that.
Well, they only give you, think about how gross this is, they only give you a month and a half or 2 months or whatever it is. And so and for some people who are saying, my property taxes went up $3,000 this year or whatever.
Where are you going to find that?
Well, exactly. And think about this, Ethan. We have a system in this state in which we are punished for something someone else does. There is no other form of taxation where you are punished for what I do. Yet in Indiana, we raise taxes on assessment, and assessment is based on what someone else sold their home for. So you are punished for not monetizing anything.
Yes, it's an unmonetized asset that you continue to have to pay taxes on. And I think you had a caller that said over the 10 years he's paid more than $30,000 in property taxes. It adds up.
Now, there shouldn't be property taxes, period, because you never actually own your home. The government had nothing to do with you buying that home. You pay the mortgage on it, or you've paid it to where you own the home. It's ridiculous that you are taxed for something that is not an asset. Now, if we're going to play a game where, hey, when you sell the home, you get taxed, okay, fine. But the idea that every single year you are forced to pay an arbitrary amount based on what an assessor, who's not even a fiscal agent, right? It's not your county council. It's not your town or city council. It's not your mayor raising taxes on you. It's a person who is elected, yes, but not even a fiscal agent can raise your taxes. The idea that if you don't pay that, you lose your home? The Indiana Republican Party is the only group of people that makes sense to, apparently.
Well, I mean, I think we talked about on a previous segment, Proposition 13 in California. Even liberal leftist utopia of California has a better property tax scheme than the Republican state of Indiana.
But
ridiculous.
It's true all over the place. We just saw the Republicans are going to raise the gas tax again. The Republican Party in Indiana is in the legalized vote buying business. And what they've recognized, and this is why if you're a Democrat, you got to quit crazy. You got to quit trying to teach kindergartners sex. You got to stop being for men playing women's sports. You got to stop being for the handing the keys to the city over to BLM. You got to stop all that stuff. You've got to start being normal and social stuff, because the Democrats now are better than the Republicans on taxes in Indiana. As scary as that sounds, you got Democrats calling for suspension of the gas tax. You got Democrats throwing out ideas left and right on property taxes. You guys can win. Just can the crazy on the social stuff. Just be normal.
Why are the Democrats coming out with a more conservative message on property taxes than Indiana state Republicans? This is mind-blowing.
Well, because what the Republicans have realized, and this is why they lean in on the social stuff, Ethan, is they recognize that the average person goes, yeah, the Republicans are stealing money from me. They're abusing my finances. They're not fiscally responsible. They're not good stewards of the public trust. But what choice do I have? If I vote for the Democrat, I'm going to have, my kindergartner is going to be taught sex in the public schools. The Democrats have made this bet, and I'm telling you, as someone who wants the Democrats to start winning, because that's the only way to hold the Republicans accountable, is for them to start fearing the voter, and they don't fear the voter.
Now, Rob, this has been kind of a downer segment. We started with scandals, completely tearing apart Indiana schools, Brownsburg elementary teachers being dismissed, and Indiana Republicans giving the middle finger to their base regarding property taxes. I thought, we could end on a bit of a better note, do a victory lap. Mike Pence getting booed last week at the NRA, and you were literally the first person I thought of. This was hysterical.
Well, hello, NRA. I love you too.
Sad. Very sad.
So, I mean, how sad does it have to be that you are the former governor of the state, the former vice president, and you're getting booed? Mike Pence leads a roller coaster lifestyle of highs and lows. He's all over the place.
Well, my favorite part was the one guy shouting, "We love you." Like there was a guy. You know what that sounded like? If you've ever been to a concert And these guys go all over the place. And the guy's in Detroit, and he comes out and says, hello, Cleveland. And there's just like this audible silence with boos. And then the one guy that's still been overserved who's shouting, we love you. Look, Mike Pence is, and I say this as someone who worked under Mike Pence as pharmacy board director. I worked on his campaign before I knew what he was, when I knew the speeches version of Mike Pence rather than the governing version of Mike Pence. Mike Pence is awful at government. His track record is zero accomplishments to hang his hat on. When he was a congressman, he was all for deficit spending. He was all for driving up the national debt. He was all for sending other people's kids to fight in ill-begotten wars. As a governor, he expanded Medicaid. He redid Obamacare and lied to you and called it HIP 2.0. He opted out of Common Core, then opted back in under another name, and it cost us about $100 million because he's addicted to federal money. Mike Pence is a zero, and I'm glad he got booed.
Now, we know he's been angling for the Oval Office, but under the circumstances, you'd have to be nuts to declare at this point.
Here's the thing with Mike Pence. And Mike Pence is one of these people who believed he should be in politics or want to be in politics from the time he's old enough to tie his shoes. And he has surrounded himself with the same people for basically 30 years. They're gravy train people. And so they are giving him bad advice. They're telling him, because there's no other gravy train left with this guy, right? The only thing he could do is be president. And so they're telling him, oh, yeah, Mike, you should totally run for president, because these people couldn't run a Wendy's if their life depended on it, and they need the Mike Pence gravy train.
So for a man who buys into his own hype, to be confronted with the grim reality of his own unpopularity is just the cherry on top. I loved it.
Yes,
It's great.
Mike Pence will be done. Maybe we'll get lucky, and someday his loser brother Greg will go with him, and then we can all just wave like the Beverly Hillbillies as they're driving down the road. I'm so glad. Thanks for ending our segment by playing that clip.
Rob, it's been great.
Thank you, Ethan.
Thanks for listening to Saturday Night on the Circle. Stay tuned for more on 93 WIBC.
Indy, finally springtime, and if you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Edwina did. She called Rhino Shield.
Over the years, I've had to touch up the house. I just got to the point where I couldn't spend any more money on the outside of the house. And when I saw Rhino Shield, I thought that was the answer to my problem.
Rhino Shield's not paint. It's better.
I'd had painters here before, and it was usually quite a disaster with them leaving their equipment here and picking up things in the yard. But Rhino Shield was right on it.
Indy, now get the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield for 15% off the regular price.
The gentleman said, if you're interested, give me a call. And I said, honestly, can you come tomorrow?
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
Don't paint, don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Tamer and Nigel for Window Nation. Everyone loves a smart investment, and there is no better place to put your money right now than in your home. Window Nation has the perfect offer for anyone with a home at least 20 years old. Protect and increase the value of your home and energy efficiency by installing new Window Nation windows. Window Nation is making it insanely easy to do so with 0% interest for 5 years. Plus, Window Nation will give you 2 windows free with every 2 you purchase.
Go with the window company that has installed nearly 2 million windows, including mine, by installers with over a decade of experience using only top-of-the-line installation materials, which is why 96% of all installations require no follow-up service. Call Window Nation today and lock in these limited-time savings when you need them the most. 866-90-NATION and pay 0 interest for 5 years. The life of your loan, and get 2 free windows with every 2 that you buy. 866-90-NATION or go to windownation.com. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
This hour is powered by Dammons West, Indiana's most complete garden center.
Fox News, I'm Laura Cantor. The Supreme Court temporarily preserving access to the abortion pill, mifepristone.
The order, which is a temporary victory for the Biden administration, puts on hold a lower court ruling to roll back FDA approval of the drug. Mifepristone has been approved for use in the U.S. since 2000.
Fox's Marianne Rafferty. Former President Trump, who is running again for the White House, speaking Friday night at the Lincoln Reagan dinner in Fort Myers, Florida.
We have to finish what we started. We were doing things that nobody thought possible. We have to finish what we started. And that means on the world stage also, because the world is laughing at us. The world is taking advantage of us like they have never taken advantage before.
Trump leads the Republican field in most polls. President Biden is planning to announce he's running again. America is listening to Fox News.
Indianapolis, do you have old, ugly, or even damaged concrete? Not sure what to do about it, but you know you need to do something? Well, you need to call Galaxy Concrete Coatings. This product is out of this world, and it's right here in Indianapolis. And just in time to give your concrete floors a transformation. Galaxy Concrete Coatings is 4 times stronger than epoxy. It's designed to not only work on your garage floor, but you can use it on driveways, walkways, around your pool or patio, commercial or residential. And it's UV resistant, which means it will not yellow. And even better, it can be ready to go in about 24 hours. Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com or call 317-751-9070. Indy, you're ready for a transformation. Call Galaxy Concrete Coatings today, 317-751-9070. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. They are out of this world.
Are your investments going nowhere? Here's a tip that always pays big dividends. Invest in yourself, your talent, your smarts, your skills. Maybe it's time to make that investment and start a career in IT or upskill to boost your current career. At My Computer Career, you can bank on us. We'll help you get the right skills and the right certifications to start or advance your IT career. IT keeps growing, so go with the growth at My Computer Career. The right training, the right timing, the right career. Invest in you at mycomputercareer.edu. Start now.
Denny Smith here. Spring's here at Sundown Gardens in Westfield, and right now Sundown Gardens has 20% off all container shrubs and 20% off deciduous container trees and 25% off pottery fountains and statues. Enjoy the weather, save money, spruce up your yard, and shop Sundown Gardens. Ask about their loyalty program. Save money this week on container shrubs, deciduous container trees, pottery fountains, and statues. Sundown Gardens at 186th Street and Spring Mill Road, sundown.gardens.com.
This is Saturday Night on The Circle on 93 WIBC.
Welcome back to Saturday Night on The Circle, where we continue the cavalcade of shame from this administration, ever spiraling downwards toward the inexorable final gasp of a once great nation. We begin with the myopia of the highest degree as the Transportation Secretary arrives at the laughable conclusion that traffic accidents are racist. Administration officials also seek to end the test dummy gender gap. The president can't spell basic words, and the vice president looks the other way on drugs in your medicine cabinet. Don't miss this unforgettable edition of Hat Tricks with Hatcher.
It's time for another one of Hatcher's Hat Tricks.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
You're listening to Saturday Night on The Circle on 93 WIBC. Producer Carl, beep, 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 pushing those buttons and doing the things to make the show function. We begin with the Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg. And if you've ever wondered why transportation is falling off the rails, sometimes quite literally in the United States with his oversight, well, it's because he's blaming things like traffic accidents on racism. Here's the clip.
We've got a crisis when it comes to roadway fatalities in America. We lose about 40,000 people every year. It's a level that's comparable to gun violence. And we see a lot of racial disparities. Black and brown Americans, tribal citizens, and rural residents much more likely to lose their lives, whether it's in a car or as a pedestrian being hit by a car. There are a lot of reasons related to discrimination, related to even the ways that roads are designed and built. Who has access to a safe street design that's got crosswalks and good lighting? Who doesn't have that access? That can drive disparities.
Right. Linking car accidents to racial disparities. I mean, honestly, I've got nothing. This is so clownish and ridiculous The clip speaks for itself. No wonder this administration is failing abysmally on matters like transportation when they see everything through these bizarre racism-colored glasses or sexism-colored glasses, as the case applies. In this case, of course, Rosa DeLauro, who's part of the administration, highlighting the vital work that the transportation secretary is doing to ensure that female crash dummies are being utilized to eliminate the gender gap in test dummies.
You also plan to make important investments to address the roadway safety crisis, including the critical funding that would accelerate the development, and this is an area I've written to you about, of the use of female dummies in crash testing. This will start to fight the gender inequity among vehicle safety and crash victims.
Shut up, silly woman.
This administration is completely off the rails, seeing racism where none exists, inventing problems and conflict to tear the nation further apart. And Biden, of course, says he's focusing on the job.
My focus is just stay focused.
But he can't even spell simple words like eight, E-I-G-H-T, eight.
But we have 1,000 billionaires in America. You know the average tax rate they pay? 8%. 8%.
Wait a minute.
You tell me who this sounds like. Slow moving, inattentive, dull, constantly snacking.
Completely asleep at the wheel. And that's why these woke officials, the lunatics are running the asylum. That's what's going on. Pete Buttigieg completely failing as transportation secretary. Joe Biden completely failing as president. Karine Jean-Pierre completely failing as press secretary. Kamala Harris completely failing as vice president, kind of awkwardly strolling wherever she goes. This time making an appearance in Reno and complimenting the all-female the female majority legislature there.
The impact is not only potentially about anything that might be in your medicine cabinet, and I'm not going to get in your business. And I met with the legislators who are here and your legislative leaders and that majority female legislature that you've got here. Some bad people. They really are. They're so good.
It is crazy. We say to give a woman power is like to give a gun to a monkey. We have stopped doing that ever since the 1999 Astana Zoo massacre.
And finally, making an allusion to illegal substances in your medicine cabinet. And I guess, the administration's going to be looking the other way. I don't know where she was going with this, but here's the clip.
The impact is not only potentially about anything that might be in your medicine cabinet. And, I'm not going to get in your business, but you should just think about what might be in your medicine cabinet. Could be all kinds of things that you need and a doctor prescribed, and that's your business with your doctor.
We were somewhere around Barstow, on the edge of the desert, when the drugs began to take hold. We had 2 bags of grass, 75 pellets of mescaline, 5 sheets of high-powered blotter acid, a salt shaker half full of cocaine, a whole galaxy of multicolored uppers, downers, screamers, laughers, also a quarter tequila, quarter rum, case of beer, pint of raw ether, 2 dozen amyl. Not that we needed all that for the trip, but once you get locked into a serious drug collection, the tendency is to push it as far as you can.
If you've ever read Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson, the insanity of that book doesn't even peak with what we're living through in 2023. Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Night on The Circle. I'm your host, Ethan Hatcher. Hop in the chat on YouTube, where we always have a lively discussion, and stay tuned for more on the one and only heritage station of 93 WIBC.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Moments like hearing my cat purr good morning mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib. Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. Find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2. Have a plan to get there. Step 3. Make sure that plan can take advantage of market gains but protect you from market losses. Discover how to do all three with a free consultation at 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future results.
This is your final chance to get a free furnace from Peterman Brothers.
When you install a qualifying AC system, we'll include the furnace for free.
This deal ends on April 30th, so don't wait.
Visit yourfreefurnace.com to schedule online in seconds.
And we'll install it next day, guaranteed, or we'll give you $500.
That's yourfreefurnace.com to schedule today.
Peterman Brothers, where great service runs in the family.
We need each other because every someone needs someone else.
We need each other because when we work together, we can do so much more.
We connect more children with what they need to grow up healthy, educated, and safe. And that's what Child Fund is all about.
Because when you make someone's world better, you make everyone's world better.
Child Fund, because we need each other.
Learn more at childfund.org. That's childfund.org.
Hey, we're pretty social people at WIBC. You can find us all over social media. See what we're up to on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. We're never more than just away. Just search for 93 WIBC.
Remember that you're standing on a planet that's evolving and revolving at 900 miles an hour. That's orbiting at 90 miles.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
The sun and you and me.
Welcome back to the show. This is Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC. And not everything is, of course, terrible in this crazy world we live in. There are some silver linings, brief respites of enjoyment and entertainment, and, just opportunities to make you smile. In this case, it was a story published in Today about Rainn Wilson, the actor from The Office. He got caught on an airplane flight. And, of course, this happens all the time with cast members of The Office because it's such a popular show. But he's on this airplane flight, and he's sitting next to a guy for hours who's watching episodes of The Office on his laptop and doesn't recognize him. Of course, he's covered by the mask, but how could you forget the lovable antics of Dwight Schrute in the long-running TV series?
Would I ever leave this company? Look, I'm all about loyalty. In fact, I feel like part of what I'm getting paid for here is my loyalty. But if there were somewhere else that valued that loyalty more highly, I'm going wherever they value loyalty the most.
The story had a happy ending. He starts talking with the guy about how he enjoyed The Office. He's like, oh, I noticed you like that series pretty well. You've been watching it for 5 hours. Like, yeah, it's pretty good. Except for season 1. That it was a little slow, but once you get after that, he's like, oh, yeah, season 1 sucked, does it? And he pulls down his mask, and the gears start turning. The guy's like, oh! And then, of course, they connect. And I'm sure, photos were taken. Maybe a few autographs were signed. But that's a fun story. Now, Carl, you're a bit of a world traveler. You most recently went to Sweden, and I see pictures of you all over the place. Have you ever run into somebody famous on the airplane or elsewhere, I guess?
Can't say I have.
Not specifically?
No, I always fly coach. I don't know how you fly.
I flew coach too. I was on a trip to New York, and this was completely No, we were returning from New York because we landed in Indianapolis. Anyway, completely randomly saw in first class, and we were riding coach too, of all the people, Ariana Huffington from HuffPost, and we chased her down and got a selfie. Just somebody famous. That's the most famous person I've ever ran across randomly.
I am remembering, though, Patrick Ewing was on one of our flights from Washington because he's the coach of the Georgetown Hoyas.
I've seen.
And he was too tall for even first class, poor guy.
If you get around enough, eventually you're going to run into somebody famous. But there's Rainn Wilson running into a fan. That'd be pretty cool. I wish I'd run into an Office cast member. That'd be a lot of fun. Also, we mourn the passing of a 35-year run, nearly 14,000 performances of Phantom of the Opera. It's now officially coming to a close. Took its final bow last Sunday. It's been on the Broadway since 1988. But after the pandemic, it became difficult to maintain such a gargantuan production. I guess even a single week of running would cost in excess of $1 million to put on the stage show, and they weren't bringing in enough money. It's ironic because as the production has closed, then they started taking in more money. In fact, in the final weeks, they took in over $1.2 million and then grossing in its final run $3.6 million. And they would have kept up those numbers. I guess it could have stayed in. But all good things must come to an end, even my favorite Broadway production, Phantom of the Opera.
You alone can make my song take flight.
WIBC.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now. I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TIRE for an extra 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TIRE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TIRE.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-924-4418. 800-924-4418. 800-924-4418.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Are your investments going nowhere? Here's a tip that always pays big dividends. Invest in yourself, your talent, your smarts, your skills. Maybe it's time to make that investment and start a career in IT or upskill to boost your current career. At My Computer Career, you can bank on us. We'll help you get the right skills and the right certifications to start or advance your IT career. IT keeps growing, so go with the growth at My Computer Career. The right training, the right timing, the right career. Invest in you at mycomputercareer.edu. Start now.
We may be thousands of miles apart, but we can still connect. And when we do, we make things better. At Child Fund, we connect children all around the world with what they need to grow up healthy, educated, and safe. Together, we co-create connections that help millions of children who live in poverty worldwide, and their families, and their communities, and you. Join us. Together, we can make the world a better place. 2 small worlds at a time. Visit childfund.org to learn more.
Did you ever ride your bike with a clothespin and a baseball card? Or use a typewriter for a school paper? Then here's a timely alert. Americans born from 1945 to 1965 are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C, which often has no symptoms, but is a leading cause of liver cancer. The good news? Treatments are available that can cure hepatitis C. Talk with your doctor about getting a blood test for hepatitis C. Know for sure. A message from the CDC.
Broadcasting from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios, this is Indy's Mobile News, 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. The news starts now.
On the horizon, I'm Laura Cantor, Fox News. With the Department of Justice launching a probe of Hunter Biden, House Republicans say Secretary of State Antony Blinken should also face questions. Fox's Alexandria Hoff reports.
House Republicans say that testimony from former CIA Deputy Director Mike Morrell indicates that Blinken, who was a Biden campaign advisor at the time, pushed the creation of a 2020 letter signed by over 50 intelligence officials to cast the Hunter Biden laptop story as possible Russian disinformation. Democrats on the House Judiciary Committee firing back at that, writing, Mr. Blinken did not direct, suggest, or insinuate in any way that he should write a letter about Hunter Biden's laptop, nor did Mr. Blinken, then a private citizen, try to get at the letter indirectly.
The White House refuses to comment on the probe. Foreign citizens and diplomats evacuating Sudan as the country's political unrest intensifies. Fox's Kitty Logan in London with more.
Plans have been further complicated by the continuing fighting despite a 3-day ceasefire. Those government forces battle it out with the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces faction. They have been vying for power for over a week. There's no sign of that letting up. An urgent debate about how to evacuate thousands of Americans trapped in the country, among them U.S. Embassy staff. While both sides in the conflict say they will allow foreigners to leave, Khartoum Airport is out of operation due to the fighting.
The State Department saying 1 American has already died. The Bud Light marketing executive who oversaw a partnership between the company and a transgender influencer reportedly taking a leave of absence after boycott. Alyssa Heinerscheid's leave follows the backlash Bud Light has received since a video debuted on April 1st featuring Dylan Mulvaney cracking open a can. America is listening to Fox News.
From the Fox News Podcasts Network, the Fox News Rundown, a contrast of perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. Your daily dose of news twice a day, going far beyond the headlines, tapping into the massive reporting resources of Fox News to provide a full picture of the news of the day.
I'm Dana Perino.
I'm Brett Baer.
I'm Maria Bartiromo.
I'm Brian Kilmeade, and this is the Fox News Rundown.
Subscribe and listen now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts. From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
Hey, it's Will Kane, co-host of Fox and Friends Weekend. Join me as I share my thoughts on a wide range of topics, from sports and pop culture to politics and business. With the help of newsmakers and personalities, I will provide you my free, unfiltered, uncancelable opinion on the hottest topics in America.
The Will Kane Podcast. Subscribe and listen now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts. America is listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
They think her body is somewhere in Indiana. Partly cloudy and cool overnight, headed into a cloudy Sunday. I'm Sasha Nixon. Here's what's trending this hour. Oakley Snow is just 2 years old. She was last seen alive in February. Chris Davis reports that her body may be in Indiana.
The story of Oakley Snow's disappearance begins in Oklahoma, where police say her mother and the boyfriend took Oakley Snow and her brother and brought them to Indianapolis. She was last seen alive in Indianapolis in February and then was seen being taken from a house that police consider a drug house in Indy in a blanket and not moving. Police have found a body in Morgan County, but they have not said for sure if they believe that is Oakley Snow. Chris Davis, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A loud boom was heard in many parts of the state Friday night.
It also came with a flash of light. I'm John Herrick.
Some people even felt it. Some people heard the boom. Some people saw the flash. Some people got all three.
Matt Eckhoff with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis says they started getting calls of it around 8:40 from places like Hamilton, Boone, and Hendricks counties. He thinks it was likely a meteor. Pilots in Kentucky say they saw a meteor to the north. A lightning system recorded the flash over Carroll County, and that system has picked up meteors in the past, says Eckhoff. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
The average price for gas across the state was $3.62 per gallon as of Saturday evening, according to GasBuddy.com. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's your forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Clearing up this evening, but chilly. Temperatures in the low 40s. All the way down to 36 by Sunday morning. Sunshine Sunday up to 50. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist David James for 93 WIBC.
Indianapolis, do you have old, ugly, or even damaged concrete? Not sure what to do about it, but you know you need to do something? Well, you need to call Galaxy Concrete Coatings. This product is out of this world, and it's right here in Indianapolis. And just in time to give your concrete floors a transformation. Galaxy Concrete Coatings is 4 times stronger than epoxy. It's designed to not only work on your garage floor, but you can use it on driveways, walkways, around your pool or patio, commercial or residential. And it's UV resistant, which means it will not yellow. And even better, it can be ready to go in about 24 hours. Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com or call 317-751-9070. Indy, you're ready for a transformation. Call Galaxy Concrete Coatings today, 317-751-9070. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. They are out of this world.
What if the next time you painted your home was the last time you painted your home?
Our home has had Rhino Shield for 10 years.
Rhino Shield. Call 888-RHINO-41. Don't paint, don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
Indy Humane. Find your new best friend today. Visit indyhumane.org.
This is Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen, where we begin this hour with a shocking news story out of Oklahoma. And if you've ever had problems with members of the media, I'll bet you didn't dislike them as much as the officials of McCurtain County in the state who threatened on tape to assassinate members of their local print-only newspaper. This is absolutely stunning, and it all began when the local reporter Bruce Willingham of the print-only McCurtain Gazette news organization sought to prove that officials were meeting behind closed doors, unofficially, off the record, and conducting county business. So he left a recorder in the room and found something entirely more disturbing, where among threatening or mourning for the days where policemen could randomly beat black people and then lynch them, they also discussed assassinating, I should say, the reporter and his son, and joked about a woman who had recently burnt to death. I mean, this is crazy stuff, all caught on tape. Here's just a small portion of the audio.
Don't say that, you know. Goes around. It will. I told you it will. Yeah. I know where 2 big deep holes are if you ever need them. I got an excavator. These are already pre-dug. Yeah, but the thing of it is, you know,
we actually told the truth.
I've known 2 or 3 hitmen that are very quiet guys.
Yeah.
And would cut no mercy.
Yeah.
In Louisiana, because it was all mafia around Louisiana.
Yeah, but here's the reality. If the hair on his wife's head, Chris Willingham's head, or any of those people that really were behind all that, if the hair on their head got touched by anybody, who would be the bad guy?
Who'd get blamed for it?
Yeah.
So that's so interesting, because even if these officials, I'm sure they're going to try to spin this as, hey, we're joking. We were just joking about hiring the Louisiana hitmen, then why were they talking about who they're going to pin the blame on for the assassination? Oh, if you hurt a hair on any of their heads, people are going to start asking questions. I bet they would. I'll bet they would. And now the Republican governor of the state, Kevin Stitt, is asking the politicians of McCurtain County to resign, among other things, lamenting the days when black people could be lynched in this shocking portion of the audio.
It was back in the day when Alan Marshall take a damn blackjack, whoop their ass, and throw them in the cell. I'd run for chair. Yeah. Well, it's not like that no more. I know. Take them down here on Mud Creek and hang them up with the damn rope. Yeah. But you can't do that. About it, they got more rights than we got.
That's Commissioner Mark Jennings mourning today. I'd run for sheriff. Here's the crazy thing. This isn't new. It's been going on for a long time. Hell, the Sterling Trio of Columbia Records called it all the way back in 1918.
For the time may come and the time may go, but nothing changes in the land of old Black Joe. In 1960, you'll find Dixie looking just the same.
Yikes. He did not expect to find rampant racism and threats of assassination in the county seat. I doubt most people do, but it's not a problem that's even strictly limited to the state of Oklahoma, which is really, really interesting. We had our own brush with this kind of corruption in the state of Indiana, where former Bartholomew County prosecutor William Bell Nash was sentenced to 1 year probation after pleading guilty to 2 misdemeanor charges following an incident where he told the neighbor, "I can kill you." What is this with government officials threatening assassination on members of the community or journalists in their towns? Nash serving that 1 year of probation after a plea agreement was entered. And according to the probable cause affidavit, he made threats toward his neighbor on Mother's Day last year in an argument over their dogs, at one point yelling, "I can kill you, I will kill you." And Indiana state law says, "I can kill you," according to the affidavit. Nope, I don't think that's how how it works here. And of course, he's no longer in office, but had served since 2002, had prosecutor William Bell Nash, now out of office and on 1 year of probation after making threats to his neighbor. So whether it's Oklahoma or whether it's Indiana, here you have a few fine examples of members of your government threatening to kill you. There was another bit of audio that I wanted to play. This was absolutely jaw-dropping. Coming out of Chicago, now former mayor Lori Lightfoot, finally seeming to, I couldn't believe this, recognize the problem of the revolving door of criminal justice and prosecutors and justices letting out violent criminals with light sentences or giving them bail and releasing them on the streets to commit more crimes. Incredibly identifying the problem, but only after she lost the election. Now sounding more conservative than the person who won and replaced her.
As Democrats, if we do not speak the truth about violent crime in our city, we will be the worst for it. But I know that there are people in my city that are wreaking havoc every day and need to be off the street. That's reality. What do we say to not only the victims of crimes, but the people who are terrified about crimes in their neighborhoods, most of whom look like us? If we say, yeah, the police department is spending all this time and resources to arrest, put a case on, and then the judges and the prosecutors say, you know what, we're going to let you out on electronic monitoring to wreak havoc again. If somebody musters the courage to come forward and identify the person who had just shot up their neighborhood and then sees Pookie walking bold as day back on the street 2 days later, what does that say to them? You're telling them that the criminal justice system doesn't care about victims and witnesses.
You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
Where was this miss Lori Lightfoot during her tenure over Chicago. Now we have tough on crime Lori Lightfoot coming at a time when Walmart has closed 4 of the stores in the metro area after suffering millions of dollars in losses, renovating one store which had been ransacked during the Summer of Love in 2020 for more than $70 million, going so far as to offer additional services beyond simply day-to-day retail in an effort to make the stores profitable, and still could not surmount the tidal wave of violence and theft that the residents of Chicago face on a daily basis. In fact, after making the announcement of departing, one woman took, 6 televisions. 6 televisions from the store in the Chatham Supercenter area. And now residents of the neighborhood are, of course, hoping that Walmart will donate the land so that way they can step up to provide the needs of the citizens when they're going to get chased out ultimately by theft too. You know, the problem is endemic and has a lot to do with, ironically, some of the things that Lori Lightfoot talked about, the revolving door of criminal justice and letting these offenders out with little to no bail or giving them very light sentences and then sending them back on the streets to reoffend. Hilarious that now the former mayor of Chicago has taken that position. You're listening to Saturday Night on The Circle. More content to come. Up next, Nigel Laskowski joins the show to continue the conversation that's been evolving about Bud Light and its partnership with Dylan Mulvaney. Is it practicable to continue the boycott, especially in a diversified market economy? These are questions we'll ponder coming up next on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
It's best, Mr. President, that you don't know what you're guilty of. It's best that you not know that these documents pertain to conversations regarding Ukraine, where your son was having business dealings and making millions of dollars, and now they, meaning the free and thinking world, can connect your classified document, the classified documents in your possession, to things that may exist on your son's laptop.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now. I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TIRE for an extra 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TIRE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TIRE.
My name is Leroy Lewis III, and I'm a proud supporter of my wife, Maggie A. Lewis, who leads our family with a gentle heart and our community as a servant leader. Since becoming a member of the City County Council, I have watched her wake up every day before the sun rises, responding to emails and text messages from colleagues and constituents while looking out for the best interests of our son, Leroy Lewis IV, including driving him to school each and every day since he started kindergarten. We call our family Team Lewis, but Maggie believes all those she serves are members of Team Lewis as well. Her passion for helping others is why on May 2nd, Election Day, we need to re-elect Majority Leader Maggie Lewis to our City County Council. She's a leader who is prepared, experienced, and dedicated, and not to mention a great wife and awesome mom.
Hi, I'm Maggie Lewis. Your vote does make a difference. So let us hear from you on May 2nd. Paid for and authorized by Maggie Lewis Campaign. Peter O'Coffer, Treasurer.
Hubler has all the top brands: Chevy, Buick, GMC, Ford, Acura, Honda, Mazda, Nissan, and more. And every new vehicle includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Looking to sell your vehicle? We'll pay you top dollar, even if you don't buy ours. Take it from Brooke Hubler.
You can get a car anywhere, but you can only get a warranty like this at Hubler. 10 years, 200,000 miles.
Visit drivehubler.com.
Hubler has it all.
Warranty available on new vehicles except certain models, not transferable or available on leases. Copy of the warranty is available for review at the dealership.
When I was younger, I may have did some stupid things, even committed some crimes, but I am not a criminal.
I work for youth advocate programs. Yeah, I was Tamani's advocate, helping him stay out of jail, stay in the neighborhood, and get a job.
As a little kid, I experienced trauma and I acted out. Made some mistakes, but I'm not a mistake.
As Jalen's YAP advocate, I'm always here for her.
YAP is a community-based alternative to youth incarceration and neighborhood violence. Youth advocate programs. Learn how at yapinc.org.
Teachers shape the future. Right now, in a classroom somewhere in the United States, there's a teacher inspiring a future scientist who'll make preventing pandemics their life's work. Sharpening the mind of an aspiring environmentalist who'll help combat climate change. And generating possibilities for a student who'll be the first in their family to graduate college. Explore a career that leaves a legacy you can be proud of. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
Damon's Garden Center West has endless varieties of trees, shrubs, vegetables, flowers, hanging baskets, plus garden and landscape supplies, and a friendly and helpful staff at Damon's West on Rockville Road. Through their service, veterans have our backs. Now we should have theirs. Learn more at gotyoursix.org.
This is Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
Hello and welcome to Saturday Night on the Circle, where I'm your beheaded broadcaster, Ethan Hatcher. Don't miss the podcasts uploaded to SaturdayNightOnTheCircle.fireside.fm plus WIBC.com, and you can hop in the chat while we broadcast live on YouTube. For weeks now, consumers have vented their outrage toward Budweiser's partnership with Dylan Mulvaney, who cosplays as a little girl on social media. Since then, the company has lost $5 billion in market share after the controversy began. But is the outrage practicable to maintain, and will this boycott be successful in a diverse market economy? Helping us ponder those questions is one half of the dynamic duo, Hammer and Nigel. Yeah. He's the mild-mannered, middle-aged mensch of manliness known as Nigel Laskowski, who joins us now.
Hey, Ethan, what's going on, man? How are you?
I am well.
Thanks for having me on, brother.
Pleasure to have you on the program.
First of all, let me just say, when you said the word boycott, I've said this all week about this word boycott in terms of Bud Light. I don't think when I think of boycott, I think of organization.
Yeah.
I think of petitions. I think of protests. I just think it's a bunch of people that were kind of turned off by the marketing campaign and just decided to go with something else.
Yeah, this is.
I don't know that it was some sort of organized boycott. You know what I mean?
I don't think there's a face of the boycott. Absolutely.
Right,
no, I think
right.
I think it's a market reaction, but I'm not sure if it's practicable to continue for reasons that I'll get into a little later in the segment. But first, I wanted to talk about one of the options available. And they did this with the chocolate, and it kind of got under my skin, too, with the Jeremy Boring from Daily Wire introducing the her bars and the he-him bars.
I think I heard about that.
I bought some. I'm actually waiting for my shipment to see if somehow Hershey's is involved in the manufacture of the anti-woke chocolate. But anyway.
Boy, they got you, didn't they?
Well, yes, they did for damn near $30. It's $25 for 4 bars. And they're trying to do the same with this beer. The conservative dad on social media introducing ultra-right beer, and here's how it's being marketed.
All right.
America's been drinking beer from a company that doesn't even know which restroom to use. That's why I created Conservative Dad's ultra-right, 100% woke-free beer. As conservatives, we're constantly getting hit in the face, left and right, by the woke mind virus. But the last place we want it is in our beer. If you know which bathroom to use, you know what beer you should be drinking. Stop giving money to woke corporations that hate our values. And to the rest of you woke corporations, stay the away from our kids.
Buy yours online in 42 states at ultrarightbeer.com.
And they're doing the same thing with the chocolate. They're asking $19.99 for a 6-pack plus shipping.
I mean, it's all marketing to a certain segment of the population. Sure. I get it. You have to remember this woke corporation that he's talking about, Anheuser-Busch and their parent company. were big money donors to the GOP. Let's not forget that before all that stuff is all window dressing. It's like, I guarantee it doesn't taste any different than any other lager that I've ever tasted in my entire life, or Pilsner.
Here's my thing.
So it's marketing.
Here's my thing. I understand the reaction, and I'm not going to tell you that you have to support Dylan Mulvaney or buy Bud Light. You know, I've never bought Bud Light. I think it's swill beer. There's lots of better reasons not to buy Bud Light than their marketing campaign with Dylan Mulvaney. But I'm so tired of the hyper-politicization of literally every facet of life. Sure. I love politics. I've been talking about politics since I was a teenager. I majored in political science at the university, but what I'm sick of
outrage culture
is the outrage culture, and it's both sides doing it. Sure. It's certainly the left wing with their virtue signaling marketing campaigns, but also now the right wing with their ultra-right beer and anti-woke chocolate, and I'm just sick of it. And they're overcharging for the free crap.
You fell for it.
Well, this is research.
Oh, okay.
Because
so are you going to write a check? Are you going to turn in a receipt to Radio 1 for this?
Well,
research?
it is part of the show, because I wondered in the 2 days it took him, and it took this conservative dad similarly a short amount of time to partner with a manufacturing, and being that Hershey's is like the number one chocolate manufacturer in the game, I'm like, somehow are they involved in the manufacturing process, which I don't know. That's why I bought it. But I'm tired of the virtue signaling.
You know, the only thing that I will say that Bud Light did 100% wrong was their woke marketing director, that chick, that woman, that millennial or whatever, that
I know who you're talking about.
Put this whole TikTok Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light campaign together.
Shut up, silly woman.
She basically insulted a strong customer base by saying, we need to move on from this frat culture. That's not word for word what she said, but the frattiness, we need to expand, basically slamming a big part. I mean, how many college kids over the decades and decades have been downing Bud Light, and all of a sudden we need to change with these frat boys when there's pictures of her in college participating in frat culture.
She was part of the base, so she should know.
So that's the only thing. But I mean, whatever.
This is why I ponder if it's practicable to continue, because here's just an abbreviated list of brands associated with Bud Light manufactured by the same company: Michelob, Natural Light, Natty Daddy, Cass, Castle, Corona, Harbin, Estella, Stella Artois, Landshark Lager, Modelo, Shock Top, Johnny Appleseed. I mean, the list goes on, and then there's the partnered brands. Like, are you really going to do your research?
I was just drinking Modelo last night at the Mexican restaurant I went to. I had no idea that Modelo was part of the under that umbrella.
So you were supporting a woke brand, Nigel. And you're not the only one. Dan Crenshaw got caught up in this too. He videotaped himself in a hilarious self-own saying he was going to extricate Bud Light from the fridge, but I'll tell you what happened.
Stop Bud Light's stupid ad campaign. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to throw out every single Bud Light we've got in the fridge. All right, well, I guess that was easy.
So he opens the fridge, and there's no Bud Light. But you know what was filled with, Nige?
Was it Stella?
More beers owned by Anheuser-Busch. What are you doing? See, that's why I say I'm not sure the boycott is practicable to continue. I understand the outrage about the partnership and the woke marketing, but this is a diverse economy, and I'm not sure that we are geared to purchase all of our products from people with whom we politically align. I mean, good luck.
You know, the other thing you mentioned that they lost billions of dollars.
$5 billion in market cap.
We were talking to Tony Katz about this earlier this week on our show, and his viewpoint is, and I agree with it, that's a couple of days, all right? Mm-hmm. The market fluctuates like that, especially for beer companies. Let's see what happens in a month or two, okay? Because that's not that big of a deal in terms of how gigantic and global InBev is, the corporation that owns Anheuser-Busch.
Yes.
So we'll really see what happens a month or two from now.
And it's not just Anheuser-Busch. It's also now Guinness, more specifically the brand that owns them.
Just finished off my 8-pack of Guinness last week.
Diageo. Now, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, he spoke out in the Bud Light controversy and said he doesn't drink Bud Light. He supports Guinness.
He said he's a Guinness man, right?
But Guinness released a woke holiday ad, their parent company, Diageo, for J&B whiskey last holiday holiday season with this grandfather putting on makeup and teaching his transgendered grandson how to do the same.
That's where it's weird for me. That's where it gets strange.
The whole thing
for
is
me.
weird. But there again,
Ron DeSantis saying he's a Guinness man and doesn't realize that
they're woke too, and they own more than Guinness. In Scotch whiskey, they own Johnny Walker, J&B, Buchanan's. They also own Canadian Crown Royal. They own Smirnoff. They own Don Julio Tequila. They own so many brands. Again, it's not that I disagree with the outrage. I'm totally on board with the outrage, and I think it's weird too.
Wait a minute, you just said you're against outrage culture.
I am against the outrage culture. I'm sick of it being politicized, but I understand it.
All right, you understand it.
I understand. I mean, how can you look at an ad like that or the partnerships and not have a reaction? But at the same time, I'm just sick of whether it's the right doing it or whether it's the left doing it. I don't want my beer politicized. I don't want my chocolate politicized. I don't want my video games and my entertainment politicized. That's what I'm sick of.
Look at the biggest movies out over the past few months, whether it be Top Gun, whether it be the Super Mario Brothers movie, whether it be John Wick. No agenda, great story writing, great cast, and no political agendas on those movies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that should be a theme for Hollywood. Family movies. I mean, Super Mario Brothers, I know we're talking about beer here, but Super Mario Brothers broke all sorts of records in the animated world.
They're on track for $1 billion. They're the number one most profitable movie of 2023 so far.
Family movies and stuff that leaves all the crap we were talking about out of it.
The most beautiful thing about a free market economy is it's the best product, the highest quality, which should stand out.
Absolutely.
And that is what Joe Rogan was talking about on his podcast, discussing and synthesizing the issue and the controversy surrounding Bud Light.
Do you have any beer here?
Yeah, you want a beer?
I take a light beer.
Okay, let's get some Bud Lights. Let's do this.
Yeah.
In support of Bud Light in their time of stress.
Let's be allies by getting a little day drunk.
We're going to be allies.
Yeah.
You know, because Kid Rock and Travis Tritt have put the and hammer down.
I know. They were really fighting the good fight, man.
Here's my take.
Okay.
Like, what they're doing is just spreading the brand to an extra group of people.
Yeah.
Why, if something is good, do you give a who's got it? Like, would we do this with cheesecake? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if there was like a bomb-ass cheesecake and all of a sudden, you know, some radical group like Antifa really got into the cheesecake, we'd be like, fuck this.
Yeah. You know what the most interesting part about that clip was? The censoring. What is that noise?
You like the duck quack?
What is the bleep there?
That is the new censor sound for Saturday night on The Circle. I mean, you know, putting a spin on it. But I agree generally with the take, which is it's free market economy. Buy what you like. If you've always loved Bud Light, chances are you're gonna buy it again, which is what's happened every single time. It happened with the Nike boycott.
Boycotts don't work.
It happened
really
with the Yeti boycott. If you're buying these products and you love the products, you might set it on fire for a few clicks on social media, but chances are you're gonna go buy it again.
Something different. I think something different happened with Bud Light. I think they stepped in it for sure, but you're right. Let's wait and see.
Let's wait and see. Chances are, I think it's going to blow over. I understand the outrage.
We're still talking about it here, though. I mean,
going on week 3, going on week 4. I never expected it to last this long.
Nope.
It's crazy. Thanks for coming in the studio.
Thanks for the invite, man. Appreciate it.
Stay tuned to Saturday night on The Circle. This is the one and only 93 WIBC.
Kendall and Casey.
We now have a new richest person in the world, Bernard Arnault. Net worth is $2.4 billion.
Can you imagine being worth $1 billion?
No, I can't imagine.
We are not even living the same existence. When do you think the last time Bernard Arnault
went to the store and bought a gallon of milk?
Yeah, whipped out his wallet in any shape, form, or fashion.
Kendall and Casey. Weekdays 9 till noon on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Are your investments going nowhere? Here's a tip that always pays big dividends. Invest in yourself, your talent, your smarts, your skills. Maybe it's time to make that investment and start a career in IT or upskill to boost your current career. At My Computer Career, you can bank on us. We'll help you get the right skills and the right certifications to start or advance your IT career. IT keeps growing, so go with the growth at My Computer Career. The right training, the right timing, the right career. Invest in you at mycomputercareer.edu. Start now.
Managing a teenager's ups and downs can be trying, even for the most patient parent. I'm Tammy Silverman with Indiana Youth Institute. During your child's teenage years, they are seeking separation and independence, which are natural developmental steps. But their feelings may come across as aggression, including verbal rudeness or physical behavior. Experts say this is not a power struggle or a sign of rejection. While your teenager may appear physically mature, keep in mind that the part of the brain that regulates self-control is not fully developed. As a parent, you can do a few things to help with this transition and keep your calm. It's important to acknowledge your teen's emotions and listen to their opinions. Use their behavior to open a dialogue and try not to critique their every move. A few adjustments in your approach can make a big difference in helping your teen navigate these tumultuous years. This Kids Count Minute is a message from Indiana Youth Institute. For more parent tips, visit IYI.org.
Kids count on you.
This time next week, I'll be sick in bed with West Nile virus, thanks to a mosquito bite right in front of my house.
In 8 minutes, my daughter will be in an ambulance, having an asthma attack, triggered by cockroaches.
I'm going to be bitten by a tick today. I won't even know it until Lyme disease turns my life upside down.
Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org. A public service message from the National Pest Management Association and the CDC.
This hour is powered by Dammons West, Indiana's most complete garden center.
Fox News, I'm Laura Cantor. An abortion drug will still be available for now.
The Supreme Court rejects a lower court's decision to suspend the Food and Drug Administration's approval of mifepristone, granting an emergency request from the Biden administration and the maker of the drug.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. The case goes back to a lower court in May. President Biden expected to announce his 2024 run in a short video next week. Fox's Lucas Tomlinson.
This has been months in the making. The White House says it doesn't even want to talk about it, though. A new poll from the Associated Press says most people don't want the oldest president in U.S. history to run again. He would be 82 at the beginning of a potential second term.
A full 73% of adults say they don't want him to run again, but 41% of Democrats say they will vote for Biden if he's the candidate. America's listening to Fox News.
I ask that they might all be one.
Pastor John Gable of Tabernacle Presbyterian Church in Indianapolis.
This was the great prayer for unity that Jesus prayed for his disciples. Unity is at the heart of his desire for us today. But how can this be when God's people are so different, distinct, and separated from one another? This is the miracle of God's work in the church. It is our common faith in Jesus that brings us together now and always. Rather than focusing on those things that divide the body of Christ, it is our desire at TAB to focus on the one who unites us. We invite you to experience this unity in Christ for yourself by visiting us in person or at tabpres.org.
Tabernacle Presbyterian Church, 34th Street and Central Avenue in Indianapolis, invites you to worship Sunday morning at 8 or 10 a.m. If you can't make it in person, tune in to Sunday with Tab, Sunday mornings at 6:30 on WIBC, or find us online at tabpres.org.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career and they talked to me about it.
He was done in just months.
I did do it online.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at My Computer Career.
It worked for me and I know it can work for you.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
My name is Jamie Bowles, and I was diagnosed with non-small cell lung cancer in December of 2018. Nobody would even know looking at me that I have stage 4 lung cancer, and I'm grateful for biomarker testing for that. When I was sitting down with my oncologist, there was already state-of-the-art medication available that I was going to be put on right then and there. Ask your doctor how comprehensive biomarker testing before treatment may help you decide on the best treatment. Visit noonemissed.org to learn more.
A public service message from Longevity Foundation.
Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see.
This is Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
Will be, will be.
Welcome
Welcome back to the show. Thanks for tuning in. We've been having some great conversations on the program this evening. If you missed a moment, guests Rob Kendall and Nigel Laskowski have joined the show, and you can find the podcasts uploaded to Saturday night on thecircle.fireside.fm. I put them up every Sunday, or producer Carl puts the WIBC podcast up after the broadcast ends on Saturday night. You can also find us streaming on the YouTube, where you can hop in the chat, join the show, talk with other fans as the broadcast goes on. We begin this segment resuming our conversation about Bud Light and the cultural controversy. I think it's interesting that this conversation has been going on for weeks since it started with their partnership, Dylan Mulvaney, and now some interesting developments in the marketing lineup over there at Bud Light. But you'll never believe this, who came out to bat for the company following the controversy was none other than Donald Trump Jr., who asked conservatives to pump the brakes on their boycott, noting the meltdown over the company partnering with Dylan Mulvaney wasn't worth destroying an American icon. This was during Thursday's broadcast of his Triggered podcast, and pointed out that despite conservatives' complaints, Anheuser-Busch has actually donated a lot of money to Republicans.
I had my team get into the details, and we looked into the political giving and lobbying history of Anheuser-Busch. And guess what? They actually support Republicans. In woke corporate America, Anheuser-Busch supports Republicans. Last cycle, their employees and their PAC gave about 60% to Republicans and 40% to Democrats. And that's literally almost unheard of in corporate America. We're in the money. Come on, money.
That's all it's about. That's all it boils down to, is their worth as a donor for the Republican Party. And who cares? He goes on to point, well, they were instrumental in helping get Kevin McCarthy elected. You mean Kevin McCarthy, the guy who's now folding on the debt limit and adding yet another $1 trillion increase to the ever-ballooning national deficit? You mean that Kevin McCarthy? No, that does not particularly inspire me, Don Trump Jr. That's the kind of ridiculous shenanigans you get out of establishment Republicans, which evidently Don Jr. is a part of. What are we doing here? Again, I'm not telling you got to support Bud Light. Certainly, I think the commercial was obviously a mistake, and the market has responded. But you shouldn't be supporting them just because they're Republican donors. That's certainly not a reason, but, money talks. We're in money. Come on, money. Now, there's also been an interesting shakeup in the management of Bud Light. Turns out their marketing VP, that woman Alyssa Heinerscheid, she has reportedly stepped back from the organization. I mean, she's cost them more than $5 billion in market share. I dare say that was a screw up. But of course, Republicans and conservatives have been calling for a boycott of the beer and for Heinerscheid to be fired. What it reminds me of is I don't want to draw this direct parallel, but it reminds me of cancel culture. Like, this woman made a mistake, and I don't support the ideas that she seeks to advance, but I don't want her to be fired. I don't want her to be out of a job. I think she has the right to work and earn a living just like any of us do. And I know conservatives, myself included, are not fans when the woke mob seeks to end your profession or dox you just because you have a differing opinion. And I wonder if that's what's going on here. Now, of course, it is totally legitimate, for her to be stepping aside after losing more than $5 billion for the company. I hate when people go after individuals' employment on a basis of political disagreement. It kind of makes me do a double take, raise the hair on the back of my head. I actually ran across a clip of Rod Serling talking on the issue generally of censorship with Mike Wallace, all the way back in the 1960s, and discussing his struggles against the cultural movement of the time. And I just wonder if some way we're not reliving some kind of resurgence of that. Like, am I the angry man shaking his fist at the sky seeking some kind of puritanism from my entertainment or from my beer companies. Like, I hope not. Here was part of the exchange captured with Mike Wallace and Rod Serling, the creator of, among other things, most famously, The Twilight Zone.
Well, we hear a lot about censorship of the writer on TV. We write a good deal about it in your own case especially.
Well, depending, of course, on the thematic treatment you're using, if you have the temerity to try to dramatize a theme that involves any particular social controversy currently extant, then you're in deep trouble.
For instance?
A racial theme, for example.
Now he's talking about censorship of racial themes and the sanitization back then. Are we just moving it to themes of human sexuality? Like, I don't know. These are just questions I'm throwing around. And as somebody who absolutely supports the right to freedom of speech, I think it's important for us to make sure that we're not engaged in the kind of censorship that the left often seeks to impose on us. You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle, 93 WIBC. I'm your host, Ethan Hatcher. Producer Carl, beep, 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 pushing those buttons and doing the things to make the show function. Now, Bud Light existing as a woke corporation certainly is more of a recent phenomenon. Hell, back in 1994, they aired an ad that would be considered politically controversial and right-wing today, putting their actors in drag, playing in a pool game on ladies' night to win Bud Light. This is a 1994 ad.
These guys are good. Who are you calling guys? Yeah.
Looks like you're in the finals. Ma'am, for the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
You're the defending ladies pool champion? Yes, I am. I'm gonna kill myself! I'm going to kill myself, and it's your fault!
Only 20 years, and my, how the tides have turned. Now that would be considered transphobic to put on the air. These dudes were totally in drag, wearing ladies' wigs. One of them were, they're in dresses. One of them had a mustache, and Bud Light was poking fun at him. Now, we've completely changed, and maybe it's just the sign of the times evolving. Like, I don't know. But it certainly is interesting to note. Finally, Bud Light is not the only beer company that's come under fire recently. This was funny out of Belgium. This happened in February when 2,000 cans of Miller High Life beer were destroyed because of using the term champagne in their nickname, the champagne of beers. Well, while they were en route to Germany, it was intercepted in Antwerp by Belgian authorities when the Comité Champagne, tasked with safeguarding the distinction of the French sparkling wine, ordered its destruction. Committee taking issue with the brew's slogan, referencing it as the champagne of beers. According to European law, the word champagne cannot be used on the packaging of imported goods unless they originate from the specific Champagne region in southwest France. And so they destroyed 2,000 cans of beer. Miller High Life ordinarily not shipped to the European Union, an unusual situation. And in the wake of this, they invited their European friends to take a toast of the High Life and kind of thumb their nose, proud of their Milwaukee provenance and the title of the champagne of beers. Thanks for listening to 93 WIBC Saturday Night on the Circle. We got one segment to go, but don't miss a moment of Saturday Night on the Circle.
The pothole. Formed in colder months, tiny fissures are born, and in no time at all, they grow into big, gigantic tire killers. That's why you need Matt Baird Traffic.
Watch out on Keystone Avenue.
He'll guide you around these hidden monsters.
Yeah, might as well call it a basement.
And on to safer ground.
You don't want to be in the far left lane.
Mornings and afternoons on 93 WIBC.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Indianapolis, do you have old, ugly, or even damaged concrete? Not sure what to do about it, but you know you need to do something? Well, you need to call Galaxy Concrete Coatings. This product is out of this world, and it's right here in Indianapolis. And just in time to give your concrete floors a transflormation. Galaxy Concrete Coatings is 4 times stronger than epoxy. It's designed to not only work on your garage floor, but you can use it on driveways, walkways, around your pool or patio, commercial or residential. And it's UV resistant, which means it will not yellow. And even better, it can be ready to go in about 24 hours. Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com or call 317-751-9070. Indy, you're ready for a transflormation. Call Galaxy Concrete Coatings today, 317-751-9070. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. They are out of this world.
One of the best things that has happened here in Indianapolis is the arrival of QC Kinetics. Their amazing regenerative medicine treatments have helped so many people get lasting joint pain relief with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. Tony Katz here, and the demand for QC Kinetics treatments is so strong, they are opening another clinic in Carmel while continuing to treat in Eagle Creek and Greenwood. QC Kinetics, they're the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, utilizing a modern-day approach to deal with chronic joint pain. It's an all-natural process that uses healing properties from your own body to restore and repair damaged tissue in your joints so you can get your life back without that chronic pain and without surgery or drugs. You've been hearing about it, so stop putting it off. If you have arthritic pain or pain from an injury, do what so many already have done. Call QC Kinetics. It's a free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now. 317-559-PAIN. 317-559-PAIN in Eagle Creek, Greenwood, and now in Carmel. 317-559-PAIN.
It's JMV and spring is here at Sundown Gardens in Westfield. And right now, Sundown Gardens has 20% off all container shrubs and 20% off deciduous container trees and 25% off pottery fountains and statues. Enjoy the weather, save money, spruce up your yard, and shop Sundown Gardens. Ask about their loyalty program. Save money this week on container shrubs, deciduous container trees, pottery, fountains, and statues. That's Sundown Gardens, 186th Street, Spring Mill Road, sundown.gardens.com.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
And I think it's gonna be a long, long time till touchdown brings me round again to find I'm not the man they think I am at home.
You're listening to Saturday Night on the Circle on 93 WIBC.
Welcome back to the show. This is Saturday Night on the Circle. I hope you've been enjoying the broadcast so far. Find our podcasts uploaded to WIBC.com, Saturday Night on the Circle.fireside.fm, and always broadcasting on the YouTube. You can find us linked to Twitter, to Facebook, WIBC.com, the works. We're on all over the social media. Ending the segment with McDonald's, which is focusing on upgrading their core items. And I dare say if ever there was a fast food franchise in need of a polish, it would be McDonald's. Polish that turd right on up. They're saying they're going to focus on having softer buns, cheese that's gooier, and onions that will be freshly added to patties right on the grill, tipping their hand that these damn onions haven't been fresh this whole time. What are you doing? You can't cook onions. Onions are like one of the easiest things to cook. You can't just throw those on the grill. But no, I guess everything's frozen in the land of McDonald's. Talk about some fast food crap. I can't stand eating over there. But they are improving.
I hope they're not a sponsor.
Oh, yes. If McDonald's is a sponsor, I apologize. It turns out they're delicious. But if they're not, then they're terrible, and I hate them. They said they found that small changes like tweaking the process to get hotter, meltier cheese, adjusting grill settings for better sear, added up to a big difference in making the burgers more flavorful than ever. It would not be hard to do because most of their burgers taste like cardboard. They also got in pretty late to the chicken sandwich game, adding their crispy chicken sandwich. And I don't think it holds a candle to any of the major crispy chicken sandwiches like Chick-fil-A, certainly, or Popeye's chicken, either of them better. I mean, but generally speaking, anything that you're going to get at McDonald's is substantially worse than anywhere else. They're far away from the standards set by the McDonald's brothers in California all those many years ago. Thanks for listening to Saturday Night on The Circle. One more food-related story to get out of the way, where a Florida man was arrested for allegedly slapping a woman in the face with pizza during an argument. And that got me to thinking, Carl, if you were to use a food-based weapon, what would be your choice? I've got a couple options I'll throw your way. I'm thinking a French baguette you could possibly use to sharpen, and as a stabbing implement, or beat somebody over the head with it. Those French baguettes are pretty crispy. Or possibly a coconut. I mean, you could totally bludgeon somebody to death with a coconut. You got any ideas for a food-based weapon for assault?
I think the coconut would do a lot of damage.
Yeah, coconut. You sticking with that? I mean, it could do certainly a lot of damage. Pizza slice, however, not necessarily the first weapon of choice. When officers responded to the scene, the woman said that she was slapped on the left side of her face during an argument when the perpetrator became upset after she physically disciplined another individual on the home, quote, on his bottom area. So he was getting a spanking, and for that got slapped with a slice of pizza. Apparently, it's not hitting the child; it's slapping the person with a slice of pizza that is a crime worthy of assault and arrest.
But was the pizza frozen?
Well, she said it slapped on the left side of her face. I'm guessing it was slimy. It seems like something slimy, kind of limp. Not your first implement, but they're going on in Florida. Wrapping things up here on a Saturday evening. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for showing your support to the show. Thanks for tuning in, listening. Don't forget to like, share, tell your friends about the program. And as always, feel free to hop in the chat on YouTube while we broadcast. Always a lively conversation. One of the closing things I'd like to leave the show off with, especially in light of our conversation regarding Bud Light, it's still a pretty good country to live in overall when the worst of our concerns are the idea of woke branding included in marketing. That's pretty much... There are bigger issues, bigger fish to fry, more important things to be concerned about, like the increasing property taxes or the runaway spending in government or the inflation crisis or the transportation crisis or many of the other more pressing issues facing our country. So if the worst we got to worry about is beer, I think we're doing pretty good. Thanks for listening to Saturday Night on The Circle. I leave you with my parting words of wisdom. Wherever you are, whoever you're with, whatever you're doing, remember that life is a state of mind. I won't see you next week. I'll be out, but 2 weeks from now, tune back in to Saturday Night on The Circle.